Hello, welcome back. This is Beyond Beauty Project, the podcast. I am your host, Bridgett Brown, and today is volume 2 of Beyond with B. I am B, just in case you didn't know that. And here we go. Volume 2, where I talk to myself about myself. Does anybody else think this is weird? But we're going to do it. So, you ready? Are you ready? So today is called Dear Body, I Am Sorry. If you've been following along with the Beyond Beauty Project, you know we have a series, a collection called Dear Body. We post these cute little graphics of bodies with a little saying. This came from a very healing practice that I started when I was dealing with some deep body dysmorphia and just being really disconnected from my body. I started journaling Dear Body letters, love letters to my body. So since then, it has expanded into workshops, and coming soon, drum roll, is a Dear Body collection, which will be a series of stickers. We have beautiful bodies of all sizes and shapes and colors, and a beautiful journal that will have Dear Body prompts for you to help you get inspired. So I want to start just sharing a little bit about my journey of journaling, because it's been such an important part of my life that I don't know, maybe it'll inspire you to want to journal if that feels good to you. But I started journaling when I was 7. Okay. So I'm going to show you, first of all, look at these things. Look at how cute these things are. These are my little journals. If you're listening and not watching, it's one of those journals that have like the little lock and key. They're just so cute. I need to read who did what to me. Somebody did something to me in these, I'm sure. I have crushes on people. Ooh, 4th grade. This is 4th grade. Today was just like any other day. But when we were playing Foursquare, Jenny and JJ were ignoring me. Oh my God. Okay. To be continued. Jenny and JJ. I don't know who JJ is. I found this escape in journaling where it was a place I could go and I could write my feelings, my emotions, and I knew they wouldn't be judged. I had a lot of emotions growing up, and I was like, I just needed to understand them. Journaling was a way that helped me do that. It became almost this security blanket to navigate high school and people I dated and friend, dynamics. And it was always the place I went to when I was confused, because I think when you're feeling confused, taking this moment to pause and reflect and go inward and not sort of just go, asking other people like, well, what do you think about this? I love that too. I love like having a friend you trust or a therapist, but having something that can make you really stop and look inward, I think is such an important gift to give to yourself. So I started carrying a journal everywhere with me. When I traveled, they traveled the streets of New York to Rome, to Paris, to South Africa, to Australia, to Germany, wherever I was going. I always had a journal in my bag, because if I had a moment on set or when I was on an airplane, I would journal. And I didn't begin to write these Dear Body letters to myself till a little bit later. So we'll get to that. But I want to now tell you just a little bit, because this is a lead into the Dear Body letters. I want to share a little bit just about my relationship with my body image over the years. As you know, I grew up, if you listen to volume 1, I grew up with my mother who had multiple sclerosis. And I would say that this is without me asking her, because she's not here anymore. But my guess would be that even before she got her disease, I think she probably didn't have the best relationship with her body. And then, as the disease sort of like overtook her body, and that was really hard for her. I witnessed that, but I feel like we do sort of pass down insecurities that our parents had, right? So I wasn't overly worried about my body though, but then I went into the modeling world. I mean, do we need to talk about that? No. As you can imagine, it was just very hypercritical of your appearance, of your body, the size of your body, how your body looked, how your skin looked, how your hair looked, everything. It was exhausting. So in the earlier years, I really got affected by that. I think it was a shock to my system because I was living with models, eating with models, sleeping with models, working with models. Like I did everything with models and young models. I was 19. We were young. A lot of us were walking around with disordered eating or full on eating disorders. So we were like in this like science experiment. Like I always think of it as like a petri dish with just like all these different versions of it. And it is impossible for it not to affect you. Really, it really is. I definitely developed some disordered eating. Thankfully, I never went into a full on eating disorder, but I struggled. It was the late 90s. So it was the waif heroin chic era. And although I was naturally thin, I was not naturally rail wafy thin. I had came from a full competitive dance background. So I had muscles and it was really the first time I thought deeply like something's wrong. Something's wrong with my body. Why isn't it naturally thin like hers? Why can't I be more disciplined like her? Why do I want to eat desserts? Why can't I not eat dessert like her? Why can't I work out more? And it's the perfect setup for thinking something's wrong with your body, that your body's not good enough, that you're not good enough. I had this moment, thankfully, around 25 when I walked away from the industry and I really kind of level setted myself. And I decided if I was going to go back to work, that I would make some boundaries for myself. So, like, one of the boundaries was I wouldn't do any body stuff. Like, I wouldn't do bathing suits or lingerie. It was too triggering for me. I didn't want to do it. And I just kind of started accepting that my body was like a 4'6". And I worked in the industry for a long time after that, a long, long time. But I was really able to control it, manipulate it, fix it when it wasn't quite perfect enough. And I knew how to do it. I remember I had this boyfriend and we like woke up in the morning. I was off to the gym and he said, I've never met somebody that understands their body and can have their body as perfect as you do. And I think I'm butchering it because I guess I'm thinking like, well, I didn't have a perfect body. So to even say that, but I remember thinking like, oh, huh. Yeah, I guess I do. But I also took it as like a badge of honor. Like, yeah, okay, going to the gym, So I was very, very disciplined and I knew exactly how to control it, what to do for it. Cut to a few years later. And that is when I went through these, like a series of losses really fast. I lost a lot of family members that went right into like all these pregnancies. And I had my daughter and then I lost a baby at 4.5 months, like quickly after. Like I think I was pregnant when Scarlett was around a year-ish. Then I lost a baby at 10 weeks. And then quickly after that, I lost identical twin girls at 5.5 months. So I was a disaster. I was a little bit of a disaster. My mental health was a disaster. I was having full on postpartum, even though I didn't have a baby. I was still mourning all the losses of my family. And that was the moment I tried to go back to modeling, and I was told that I needed to lose some weight. And I tried, and I just couldn't get there. By the way, I was like a size 6, so it's kind of ridiculous. Just a little sidebar for you guys. This was the moment that I had full on body dysmorphia. I mean, I would look in the mirror and I couldn't actually see myself. And I know if you're listening and if you've had body dysmorphia, you can understand what this means, or you understand the feeling, you've experienced it. Because if you haven't, it's really wild. It's really wild. I mean, I always explain it like you're looking at a funhouse mirror. I felt really disconnected from my body. I felt like my body had failed me. I thought it was broken. It couldn't fit into my jeans. Like, why couldn't it fit into my jeans, you know? And I just felt like something was wrong with it. I'm like, something's wrong with my body. Like, I need to go to a doctor. They're going to tell me, you know? And after a little while, really after that comment from the agency, I stepped away from the industry because I just knew I needed to heal myself without judgment. And I needed to surrender. That was the moment when I really paused. I surrendered. I said, I have to do something in a different way. I was unable to control my body. I was unable to fix my body, manipulate my body, make it smaller, shove it in my jeans. My body was having none of that. So it was this moment I surrendered, and I just started moving inward again, realizing that I had to listen to my body. I had to stop. I had to pause. And through journaling, I started realizing that I didn't have acceptance for my body. I didn't have true love for my body. I didn't have an unconditional love for my body. At that time in particular, I needed to give myself a lot of compassion. It needed a lot of space. It needed a lot of grace. It needed a lot of understanding for what it had done, what it had gone through, what it had survived. So one day I opened my journal up and I just wrote, "Dear body, I'm sorry." And it started a journey of writing dear body letters to my body almost daily. I started to really cultivate a relationship with my body because I was never taught how to have a real relationship with my body. We're not taught how to have real relationships with our bodies, right? We're taught to objectify them, to tear them apart, to fix them, to filter them, to alter them. And we can be incredibly mean to them. So these love letters that I started writing to myself just became incredibly healing for me. And it allowed me to develop this new relationship with my body, one that's grounded in love and respect and understanding. I developed a new language for my body, one anchored in compassion. And I started really learning about my body. I started learning what it needed, how it wanted to be. I started learning when it was tired, when it was hungry. I learned that my body survived, that it does things for me without telling it to. I remembered that I have an abled body and that I have legs that work, something that I used to be so appreciative when I was younger. I remember thinking when my mom's legs didn't work anymore, I remember really being grateful at a young age. Like, I am so grateful that that my legs work, that my legs dance. So I started remembering all of these things. It made me grateful for all of the things that I get to experience because I have a body. I got to hold my daughter, kiss my husband, dance with my friends. And I realized that bodies are supposed to change. And that was where the compassion and the grace came in because my body was different. It was never going to be where it was before, all the pregnancies and all those losses. And I started honoring my body for all the things that had been through. So my journaling would expand. Some mornings it would be, Dear body, I'm sorry. But then it would be, Dear body, I honor you for, or Dear body, I cherish you because. This practice has just expanded my view of this sort of body-mind connection too. Because we can think of journaling just as like a mental, emotional sort of practice, but our bodies and our minds are so connected that through these Dear Body letters, I would sort of sometimes, because I would just go. Then I would start with a prompt, which will be in the journals when you get them, because I would start maybe with Dear Body, I cherish you for. And then I would just write. So I would realize how much was connected from, emotions affecting my body or something going on with my body physically connected to something going on in my mental health. So yeah, I just learned so much about taking an intentional moment or moments to write these letters. So I've expanded it now to some meditations that I do for myself. One, I did it actually this morning before I got out of bed because it's like we want to jump out of bed and grab our phone and make our coffee and wake up the children. And I just laid there for a second and I'll put like a hand on my heart and I'll put a hand on my belly and I'll just take a couple deep breaths. If you want, you can do this with me. And I just say, thank you, body. Thank you so much for showing up for me today. I am so grateful for you. I love you. Thank you so much. So that's just an example of a quick little meditation that I do most mornings, but it's just so grounding. And there's something about touching your heart and your belly for me in particular, because it's like my heart is love. Your belly is sort of like your power center. It's also the place of my body that I'm probably like the most insecure about. So it's like just giving it that extra like rub and love, So I have decided to turn this personal practice into something that I can share with all of you guys. So drum roll. I'm just kidding. Now I'm just entertaining myself, you guys. Dear Body journals are coming to you soon. Okay. But no, they're really, really sweet. I'm so excited for them. I think you're going to love them. They're very simple. They just have little prompts at the top just to help you, but you can think of your own too. We have a ton on our Instagram page too, if you don't like the ones in our journal, but I'm just hoping that it's this tool for healing and empowerment for you, this tool that either strengthens or starts this really deep connection with your body, this place where you can write a new language to your body or a new language for your body, I guess I should say. And I think there's a positive ripple effect when we engage in these type of like self-compassionate journaling and reflecting, because it starts to affect our psyches and our bodies. And that also ripples into the people in our worlds or maybe our children, right? And I always say I'm healing myself for my daughter. So I hope you enjoy them. I'll keep you updated. And I also I really want to do Dear Mind, because I think that God, it's like, as someone who has, like, I have ADHD and pretty sure I have dyslexia, and, I've struggled with depression and anxiety my whole life. It's like the other day I was like, oh, we need a Dear Mind, because I was judging my mental health so horribly. And I stopped and I just said, Dear Mind, like, I love you and I accept you. And it made me realize that I needed to cultivate this relationship with my mind and really accept my mind exactly the way she is. So I've already started that a little bit just personally. So that'll be next. But to finish up here, I heard a quote recently that said, refuse to be in a bad relationship with yourself. So I want to encourage you to refuse to be in a bad relationship with your body, with your mind, with your spirit. Cherish them, cherish her, and give them some love and attention and focus that you give so many other people. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening. I feel so grateful that you're here. Bye. Mwah. Thank you for listening or watching Beyond Beauty Project, the podcast. If today resonated with you, pass it on to a friend. And to keep the conversation going, check out the workshops that I facilitate. For preteens to adults, we challenge perfectionism, we redefine confidence, and we really get back in tune with our minds and our bodies. I also offer keynotes for colleges and corporate, where I provide thought-provoking talks about redefining success and getting back in tune with your true self and your true genius. Subscribe to our newsletter, where you can keep up to date on everything BBP related. And as always, we love to hear from you. So drop us a review, send us a DM, and I will see you next week.